Yoga is largely responsible for giving me the ability to reconnect with myself. Yoga came to me at a time when I was feeling deeply disconnected from myself. I had very little awareness of my physical body. And at the time, I really didn't know that. It wasn't until much later on that I discovered that reconnection to my, not just my physical body, but to my mental and my physiological body had really been missing all along. Yoga, I don't know whether I found yoga or yoga found me really. And it was in a place when I was quite ill as a teenager. I had ongoing eating disorders, which I guess describes that disconnection from my body. And yoga became one of those therapies that we had access to within the environment, within that healing environment. And I remember my first ever practice thinking, wow, this is a practice that I feel really resonates with me. I'm very movement orientated, so it was definitely the physical component of the practice that made me feel more alive in my body than I ever had in a long time, or ever had. Yes, reconnecting with that part of me made me really aware of how much I had been disconnected. And it started this curiosity about how I really wanted to reconnect with not only my physical body, but my mental body as well. Many, many years later, lots of on and off practice, just lots going on in my life. It wasn't until many years later that I had a conversation with my partner, and I'd been practicing on and off for many a year now. And I said to him, I think I want to go away and do my training as a yoga teacher. And I'm very fortunate in that I always had his support. It meant me traveling away, and it was a massive step for me. It was a massive step for me because of my own lack of confidence in my own ability and in myself. And I knew the moment that I returned home that it was a decision that I really genuinely heartfelt and authentically needed to make, because as soon as I arrived home, I felt a deep necessity and need to pass on what I not only had learnt through my teacher training, but what I've been learning my whole life really, and being able to pass on the tools that I've now got available to me to people I know that struggle with similar things to myself, whether that's eating disorder, whether that's self-esteem, whether it's self-confidence. And so within weeks of arriving back from teacher training, I started to teach, and I had a mentor that guided me all the way through it. And within months, I'd opened my own studio, very small studio, and people slowly started to move towards my practice. What I notice is that the goals my students arrive to the studio with are not that dissimilar from goals I had myself when I set out on my yoga journey. They largely come with goals of physical improvement, wanting to increase their flexibility, wanting to build their strength. And then I guess what I start to see happen is that the longer they are with me and moving through their own physical space, exploring, I start to notice that they find tools that are really helping them to slow down. They're really helping them to turn off that busy mind. And they're really finding their way back to their own reconnection. I guess in finding my voice as a teacher, what I'm really most passionate about is reminding you of your own potential, reminding you that you're not necessarily going to look the same in a pose as someone beside you. You're going to feel different things in your body. You're going to have different experiences, but they're your experiences. My invitation is always to remind you that other people may have training, but you are the one that lives in your body. You are the one that understands how you feel, how something can prompt a feeling within you. And it's my prompts that are there to remind you that you have the capacity to return to a part of yourself that you've become disconnected from. Absolutely, the journey can be confronting, it can be challenging, it can push you to your very limits, and it can sometimes pull you away from what you're striving for the most because of fear. Because of fear of actually wondering or realizing what is on the other side. What I have found with my own teaching is that the times when I least feel like showing up is absolutely the times when I most need to show up. And that's not just for myself, it's also for those I'm connected with, those I share a relationship with, those that are a part of a community. So I really encourage you that those moments when you feel like any excuse can keep you away from something that you're really striving towards is the moment you need to show up for yourself, to be there, to push through those boundaries, and to understand you're not alone and you have support.